The woman who cooked with corpse water. Part 2. The night air in the bustling city of Ibadan was thick with the scent of roasting meat, fresh spices, and simmering broth. But to Nnaji, the aroma carried a stench he would never forget, the unmistakable presence of death lurking beneath layers of culinary delight. He had spent the last few years tracking down Mama Ose, following whispers and eerie coincidences from town to town. Every time, she slipped through his fingers, leaving behind only a trail of vanishing patrons and chilling tales of meals that made one feel reborn. This time, he was ready. Nestled in the heart of a busy market street, the restaurant bore no signboard, only a golden lantern glowing dimly at its entrance. Inside, elegantly dressed guests dined in near silence, their expressions frozen in a trance-like bliss. The waiters moved with uncanny precision, their eyes glassy, their movements too synchronized to be natural. Nnaji took a seat at the farthest corner, his back against the wall. The menu contained no words, only symbols and numbers. He had seen this before, a code only the chosen could decipher. A soft voice interrupted his thoughts. First time here. He looked up. The waitress was stunning, dark skin that glowed in the dim light, eyes deep and ancient. But beneath the illusion of beauty, he recognized something monstrous. It was her. Mama Ose. Nnaji knew confronting her outright would be foolish. He had tried before, and she had always found a way to slip through his grasp. This time, he needed proof. His hands trembled under the table as he clicked a hidden recorder in his pocket. He needed to capture her words, her rituals, her crimes. You always had a strong spirit, Nnaji. But even the strongest fall eventually. His blood ran cold. A waiter approached, carrying a bowl of steaming broth. The surface shimmered, reflecting unnatural hues. His stomach turned as he realized it was watching him. The food was alive. A patron across the room suddenly gasped, clutching his throat. His skin bubbled as veins turned black. He slumped forward, his last breath escaping in a whisper. But no one screamed. No one reacted. They simply continued eating. The illusion was breaking. He had seen too much. He played along, ordering the house special. The moment the broth touched his lips, his body shuddered. The taste was divine, too divine. His fingers tingled, his vision sharpened, his mind buzzed with unnatural energy. He gritted his teeth. This was not nourishment. It was a binding. A curse. Mama Ose smiled knowingly, leaning in. You always had a strong spirit, Nnaji. But even the strongest fall eventually. His blood ran cold. He had come prepared. A vial of blessed salt rested in his pocket. A relic from an ancient priest who had heard his story and feared the resurgence of the dark fist. In one swift motion, he shattered the vial against the floor. The restaurant shuddered. Shadows writhed, walls trembled, and the guests, once entranced, began screaming as the veil of illusion lifted. The fine-dressed diners. Corpses. Their flesh puppeteered by unseen forces. The elegant chandeliers. Suspended bones dipped in gold. And Mama Ose. Her disguise melted away, revealing the shriveled, rotting husk beneath. With a hiss, she lunged at him. But this time, Nnaji did not run. He reached for the knife at his belt, one forged from sacred iron. With every ounce of strength, he drove it into her chest. She shrieked, her body convulsing as dark tendrils erupted from her form, seeking to drag him into the abyss with her. But Nnaji held firm, whispering the incantations the priest had taught him. With one final cry, Mama Ose crumbled into ash. The restaurant imploded, its cursed foundation unable to hold without its master. As dawn broke, Nnaji emerged from the rubble, breathless and battered but victorious. For now. Weeks passed. The city recovered, its people oblivious to the horror that had been lurking beneath their feet. But one evening, as Nnaji prepared to leave for another journey, he caught a familiar scent in the air. The same intoxicating aroma of spices, broth, and something else. His hands clenched into fists. Somewhere, Mama Ose's legacy was not yet dead. The whispers of Mama Ose's downfall spread like wildfire, but Nnaji knew better than to celebrate. Evil like hers never truly perished, it lingered, festering in the dark, waiting for a chance to rise again. And then, the disappearances began anew. It started in the next city, where travelers spoke of a new dining establishment that promised not just food, but transformation. Customers left with sharper minds, clearer skin, and an unnatural glow in their eyes. The restaurant's mysterious owner, a woman named Madam Ona. Nnaji clenched his jaw. Mama Ose had found another shell. He tracked her to an abandoned temple at the city's edge, its walls draped in eerie red cloth, symbols etched in blood. Inside, the air was thick with the aroma of cooking flesh, and on a grand table sat plates of steaming meals, each one pulsating as if alive. The feast was already in motion. Disguised as a guest, Nnaji took his seat among the entranced diners. A waiter, his eyes dull and soulless, placed a bowl before him. The broth was deep crimson, thicker than blood, its surface rippling with unseen movement. Then, she appeared. Madam Ona, tall, elegant, smiling with a mouth too wide for her face. "You followed me far, Nnaji," she whispered, sitting across from him. "Why resist what is inevitable? Why not taste salvation?" Nnaji's fingers curled around the hidden dagger in his sleeve. "You call this salvation? This is a curse. A prison. And I will end it." Madam Ona chuckled, stirring her own bowl with a silver ladle. "You still don't understand, do you? They beg for this. Humans crave power, beauty, eternity. I only give them what they desire." Her eyes flickered to the diners, their mouths full of cursed meat, their bodies already changing, fingers elongating, spines twisting, eyes darkening into endless voids. Nnaji had heard enough. In one swift motion, he flipped the table, sending bowls crashing to the floor. The enchantment shattered. Screams erupted as guests realized what they were becoming. Their flesh wriggled, trying to peel away, as if rejecting the horrors they had consumed. Madam Ona shrieked in rage, her form unraveling. Her skin split apart, revealing the ancient, rotting corpse beneath. But Nnaji was ready. He unleashed the final weapon, a flask of sacred water blessed by the last living priest of Odio. As he held it, the liquid burned through her like acid. She convulsed, her shrieks filling the temple, her body melting into black sludge. The walls trembled, the blood symbols bleeding real screams, and with a final unholy wail, Mama Ose was no more. Nnaji walked away from the ruins of the temple, the rising sun casting long shadows behind him. This time, he was sure she was gone. But as he passed through the marketplace, his heart stopped. From a nearby stall, a familiar scent drifted toward him, the intoxicating blend of spices, broth, and something else. His hands clenched into fists. Somewhere, the dark fist lived on. Nnaji didn't rest. He spent years searching, moving from town to town, city to city, tracing the trail of vanishing souls and mysterious meals that seemed too good to be true. Every time he thought he was close, the restaurant would disappear, leaving behind only whispers and unmarked graves. One evening, while seeking shelter from a storm, he stumbled upon an old library filled with ancient texts. Among the scrolls, he found a forgotten legend, the Devourer's Covenant. The text spoke of beings that feasted on human vitality, masquerading as chefs, priests, and healers. They offered gifts of fortune in exchange for an unspoken price, the gradual consumption of one's soul. Mama Ose wasn't just one woman. She was one of many. A chill ran down Nnaji's spine as he read the last words in the text, "They can never be destroyed, only starved." A realization settled over him, he couldn't fight them alone. He needed allies, warriors, believers in the truth. But who would believe a man with a story so dark, so impossible? As the storm raged outside, Nnaji rolled up the scrolls, his mind set. He would expose them all. Even if it meant becoming the hunter of 1,000 cursed fists. The battle was far from over. And somewhere, in the depths of another city, a new cook was already stirring the pot.